So I don't want to give names here or even too much detail, because this is somebody I know well and know well to my family. But there was a conversation between somebody. It wasn't necessarily me.
Yeah. Between X and Y.
And Y was a lawyer friend. And in this conversation, they were talking about politics. These people, unnamed people who were close to me, were talking about politics. And Nigel Farage was mentioned. And this lawyer said, "I'll not be voting for Farage because he's an extremist." So the person who we know, who was on the other side of the table, said, "What do you mean by that? Can you give me an example?"
That's what I would have asked.
Can you give me an example of his extremism? And he couldn't, of course. Yeah. And he said it's more of a gut feel. Now, so this is a lawyer in his 70s, by the way.
Yeah. I would also say pro EU.
Pro EU.
Yeah. This lawyer.
But yeah, it's probably pro. You mean against Brexit? You mean? Yeah. So
you'd never forgive.
Yeah,
Nigel
but
Farage.
That's fine. But you won't call him an extremist, Farage, because of that. So he said. So he couldn't give an example, of course, and he said, "It's a gut feel." Now this is a lawyer, retired lawyer in his 70s. Yeah. Very, very clever, highly intelligent.
Yeah. Should be very good at critical thinking.
Very good at critical thinking, and saying this, and then it put me in mind of a phrase that Socrates made before. So Socrates was put to death. He wasn't put to death. He was forced to eat hemlock or something. Right. Because his views were upsetting the council of the Greek council, basically. So, but one of Socrates' phrases, and he said it as he was about to die, was, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And this is what I thought when I heard this comment from this lawyer. This is a man, an intelligent man, who is not examining his life and his thought processes. But to a massive extent here, to make a statement like that gives you an insight into this guy's mind, and gives you an insight into the mind of a lot of people. They are not examining. People do not examine their thoughts, their lives, their statements a lot of the time, do they? They say things like this.
Yeah. And the reason why he said that is because in his social circle, they all say that.
Yeah.
We do not examine and pull apart all our thoughts and opinions all the time. We only ever do that when we're challenged. He said that because he's never been challenged. His friends say the same thing, think the same thing, and because of that, it becomes the truth. So, to him and his friends, Farage is an extremist, but he's never been in a position where anyone's challenged him. I'd like to think he went home that night and thought about, well, I couldn't give one example. If I had someone in the dock who said that to me and couldn't give me an example of something, I'd rip him apart. So let's hope he went home thinking about it. Why couldn't I give not 15 examples, why couldn't I give one example of why I think he's an extremist? Yeah. So let's hope he thought about it.
And part of the answer to this is to get people examining their thoughts, isn't it? So on last Thursday, there was Comedy Unleashed in Manchester, which you didn't go to. I did ask if you were going, but you didn't go.
Did you go?
I went, yeah.
I believe it was very good.
It was excellent. Apparently there was a transvestite outside trying to cause trouble. Apparently. But it is a step forward that these things are happening now in main venues, and there aren't crowds.
And that didn't get cancelled.
And it didn't get cancelled, yeah. So, because I think the mood is shifting now, and the mainstream politicians are now saying, yes, women can't have penises and all that sort of stuff. So I think so it was a very, very good evening. But Rob was there, Rob the American. Yeah. Barry Wall was there as well. And I was just thinking, you three, you, Barry and Rob, if I whenever we're talking, if I make a statement to one of you, if I said something like Trump is an extremist, I just wouldn't get away with that, would I?
No.
With any of the three of you, because all three of you would go, what do you mean by that? Can you explain that, or whatever?
Give an example.
And yeah, exactly. And any conversation with you three, I'm very measured in what I say, because I know if I say something flippant, glib or whatever, you'll potentially tear it.
You're going to have to back it up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to back it up. And that's why I like spending time with you, with Rob, with Barry, going to those things, because the people there, without wishing to big them up too much, they do examine their lives, and they do examine their thoughts and their process. There's no way Barry Wall, you can say anything to Barry Wall that isn't fully thought out before you say it, because he will just tear you apart if you're saying something that doesn't make sense, or you're stupid, or even when you say something that makes sense, he tears you apart. So it's kind of, you know, that.
And the three of us, four including you, we all have different views as well.
Yes, yeah, totally.
So it's not like we're all on the same page and you say something, we all gang up on you.
Yeah.
We all have different views on many topics. But we tolerate each other because we're friends.
Yes, yeah.
And we try to learn off each other because we've all got different experience and different information. But we will not give each other a pass by coming out with something glib, something not thought out, something that's just hyperbolic. It's like, oh, no. You need to back that up.
Yeah. And I think that is fabulous, you know, and I think that's the journey, isn't it? I think you've always been there. You've been there a long time. The journey for me has happened in the past 4 or 5 years, where I am examining my thoughts all the time about anything. And it is getting me in trouble and causing me problems, and lots of meetings I go to. People say things and then the whole thing just kicks off because of that. But it's such a better life to lead, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Such a better way to lead your life. But how do we teach? I know this is what Barry does, isn't it? He's got his warrior teacher thing or whatever. How do we get people to start examining their thought processes?
First of all, most people won't and never will. What we need is a certain percentage of the population who are the leaders in industry, leaders in education, people in important roles. They're the ones we need to teach how to think critically and examine their belief systems and why they believe and do certain things. Because most people are sheep, and that's not being insulting to them. Most people haven't got the time, the energy, the inclination to worry about anything. They're too busy working, paying the bills, wanting to go on holiday with the children, and we're going to leave other decisions to other people to make. And that's because we're a tribal creature. So most people will follow the tribal leader. But in our society now, we have many tribal leaders. They're the ones we need. And we would have said 30, 40 years ago, well, that's the job of university, isn't it? But university is now the problem. University now is the propaganda camp.
Yeah.
So how do we turn this around? I think things are already turning around on this. And I think the answer is basically self-education, which is easier now than it's ever been. As in, we've got the world's knowledge in our phone, in our pocket.
Yeah.
YouTube, all these apps now have lots of information and videos. You might not agree with all of them. When I'm watching YouTube sometimes, my wife will say, what is this crap about? And I'll say, I've no idea. But the title, I knew I didn't know anything about it. So I'm watching this to find out if I need to know anything about this. Because how do I know I don't need to know any of that until I've watched it?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes she's right, it's a load of crap.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know that until I've watched it.
Sometimes even if it's just a moment where you see something that gives you an insight into something else, it's important.
Did you like that video? I think you did. Hit the bell, give it a big thumbs up, comment, and don't forget, I'm standing for election in Oldham East and Saddleworth. So please share this video, speak to your family and friends if you live in Greater Manchester, and if you live in Oldham East and Saddleworth, make sure you vote for me. Catch you soon.